Wait, is it recording? I think we're recording. I guess we'll soon know. I guess we'll see. No, this is test one. Well, actually, strictly speaking, this is test two, but test one was a fucking disaster. And this is the same thing I was doing last time. Let me get some more monitor in my headphones. Hang on. How you doing? Good. You doing good? Good. Hopefully I'm not deafening myself. This is a different test. It's very similar to what I was doing previously, except for that was with a piece of shit software. Way back in early 2016, in a different universe, I bought a package of, frankly, fairly crappy video software from a fairly crappy company, from a site that is now quite crappy, which is to say I bought a collection of video recording and editing and what's-it software bits from Cyberlink, which is a company that makes crappy video software. They used to make like DVD recording and DVD ripping software. I know they made DVD playback. I don't know about recording. They made DVD playback software 20 years ago that was famously shit back then. Well, now as of 5.5 years ago, they make shit video recording and editing software. And I still have some of it on this machine because this machine's a very old Windows install. And I just made it go, and it sucks. I mean, it actually, first of all, it recorded in crap quality. Second of all, it bogs the fuck down the moment I start trying to adjust the settings. Like literally, it's like drunk person trying to operate the mouse. But in addition to that, it did actually properly record the screen region I cared about as best I could tell for the like 40 seconds that it fucking recorded. But the biggest problem and why it became an instant no sale is because, by the way, I'm going to have to turn down this mic. I don't know. It was too quiet in the other one. Is the fact because the mic is a monophonic device because I'm a monophonic human being, as most of us are. It was putting the mic in one channel because it's a monophonic device. It wasn't summing it to left and right. Sum to mono, they call it. It was just dumping it into the left channel, and that meant when I played it back, I was only coming out of the left speaker, and that is a complete non-starter. So what I did is download the completely free open source open broadcast software, which is superior to the payware that Cyberlink excretes on pretty much every capacity. And 10 minutes in, I've got it up and running. I've got it recording. It should be recording this live. I haven't fucked with it yet, but it is, in theory, recording the top backpacks on TF2, because this is an idea I had. And I've already actually recorded a long preamble that did not record properly because, well, honestly, because of me, but also because Cyberlink's screen recorder is a piece of shit. I've literally never used it. I used it like one test in early 2016 and I haven't used it since. Fuck that shit. But I'm in dire need to record new footage. I have been using Fraps, which is fucking ancient. It's like an old version of Fraps from 2013. I should rephrase that. It is a version of Fraps that was old in 2013. It's even older than that. I don't know when it dates to, but it's practically decade-old software. And Fraps is really behind the times. I mean, it works, but that's about all it does. And Fraps doesn't know me anything, but point being is it's time to move on. And so I'm fucking around with OBS here. And this really is just a test. It's a continuation of a series of tests I've done, and I will doubtlessly do more after this. But it's a series of tests that I have recorded for one purpose, which is to begin making TF2 content semi-regularly. And this is not to game the goddamn fucking YouTube algorithm or anything like that. It's only so that I can just amuse myself, because I have to have a creative output. My radio show is on hiatus because my laptop died. My ability to edit photos is on hiatus because my laptop died. And, well, recording game footage and yapping about whatever is no substitute for either of those. It is at least something. And one of the big parts of my radio show is after I DJ for 2 hours, I rant about primarily the music I just played for another 45 minutes. And I haven't had that outlet in like a month and a half now because my fucking show's off the air. So, this is an idea I actually came to me the other night when I was in a voice call. And strictly speaking, I'm actually in a voice call right now. But I'm a deaf mute, so the two gentlemen who I'm in the call with won't appear up in the video. But in addition to that, and this is important, I won't be ear-raping them as I yap on indefinitely about this business. So I've had this idea, and that's not what you're looking at here. What you're looking at here is the fucking top, 15 shitfuckers and the richest people in TF2. We'll pick up that thread in a second. The series of videos that I want to produce is about every weapon in TF2, and there's over 100. I forget if it's 170, 112. greater than 100 weapons in Team Fortress 2. It is my plan to go through every single weapon, discuss the mechanics of them, doing this by class, I might add, and then my own personal version of that weapon, because I have a substantial backpack of my own. And I'm in the top 100, but barely. But we'll pick that thread up in a second as well. And the reason I have that has been so delayed is a host of reasons, most of which weren't worth getting into. But I've had hardware problems. I had my trusty 2-decade-old mic preamp failed due to actually it got destroyed by the power coming back on. Cool story, bro. When power goes out, that's not when the danger for your electronics is when the power comes back on, because it almost invariably comes back on with a current and voltage onrush, which can destroy components. And just due to carelessness on my part, however many years ago, I had plugged my I think it was a M Audio USB audio interface, which was class compliant, meaning it didn't need drivers. I plugged it straight into the wall. I have like one of those, expanders, but there's no, that is the outlet expander. There is no surge protection or anything of the sort in it. And literally every other component, up to including like my fucking, well, it's not a landline, but internet landline phone, my boomer phone, has some type of protection on it. But I just had plugged that in, its wall wart straight into the fucking wall effectively, and left it that way. And then one day the power went out, as it is wont to do here in scenic fucking bumblefuck Western Massachusetts, where we lose power every goddamn day, nearly. And when it came back on, it fried the Motu. I'm sorry, not the Motu, the M Audio. And this was like almost a year ago at this point. So then I started using, and it probably was a year ago when I think about it, I started using a screwy device called an icicle, which is like a stupid plastic widget that's got USB on one end, and it's USB, not micro, but mini. And it's funny because USB mini is not used at all anymore. USB mini is some very like first half of the 2000s technology. Like it was a super big deal in 2003 and 2004. And by the end of that decade, which is now, a dozen years ago, it had largely been phased out. But this fucking icicle, which had a lot of blue LEDs in it to make it look good. It was made by a microphone company. The same Blue, the company that makes the Yeti and the Snowball and a bunch of other products they sell in Apple stores. Well, I have an older product by them, which is a very high quality mic that I literally never use. There's a story. Blue actually got sold. They used to be a small, by the standards of such things, microphone manufacturer that made very high quality microphones. Then they got bought out by like a hedge fund or some shit. It wasn't a hedge fund, but some, entity that only buys other entities. And they got turned into a commercial, like consumer product company that sells, the kind of products they sell in Apple stores and Walmart. Their flagship product now is the fucking Yeti. Well, imagine basically like a shitty version of the USB guts that are in the Yeti, or probably more the Snowball, except for it terminates an XLR, and that's what the icicle was. They don't even make drivers for it anymore. But some absolute nut job had figured out drivers that worked and put a link to them on his YouTube video. By the way, never download random ass drivers you get from a fucking YouTube video. But for a variety of reasons, doing a little research, I downloaded those drivers. Always do your own research, kids, particularly when it comes to, anything that might not kill you, which is to say USB drivers, yes, ivermectin, no. How topical, at least for when I'm recording this video. And it worked, except for it didn't. That is to say, the fucking icicle worked. It would work sometimes and not others. And it would occasionally distort, and people would just start screaming at me in voice calls, ear rape. Well, early part of this year, or maybe it was late last year, I don't know when it was, I bought a new USB audio device. I'd have to look up when, and I don't care for the purpose of this video. I have a Mark of the Unicorn, Motu as they're known now, M-O-T-U, M2, which is a very nice USB device that has 2 inputs and 2 outputs, and some nice shiny LED meters on. It's actually, strictly speaking, it has a nice display, which it's like a mini LCD display, so it can actually show all sorts of shit. But what it usually shows is volume bars, and that's what it's showing right now. And it is works like a charm. It's great. I use it actually as an audio playback device when I record, because it has a monitor button. It doesn't have a monitored volume. It just has a monitor button, but it means I can hear myself in my headphones, which is real handy. And very recently, I just got a new mic preamp. I'd actually had one for a couple weeks, like 3 or 4, almost a month. It was a DBX 286S, and it kept misbehaving. Like, I'd cut out in the middle of calls. Like, I don't not used it for broadcasting because it arrived after my laptop died. I had a lot of hardware failures this year. And it would, my voice would cut out in a call, and people would say sometimes I'd fade away, and other times it would cut out dramatically. And what that says to me is either it's a bad capacitor or probably a bad solder joint, maybe both. But I called the company I bought it from, Sweetwater, who were a good company who sell to professionals, and they sent me a new one, and I have to ship back the old one. It's actually sitting in a box packed up behind me and going out probably tomorrow. And the new one works fine. I have not stress test is the wrong word, but I have been running it heavily. I've been in a call for many hours talking to people. I haven't been playing too much TF2 recently because I'm fucking burnt out for a variety of reasons that I won't get into in this video, but I have for as long as I've played TF2, other than like the first year I played it. I take breaks from the game because I just get fucking sick of it. I may even play it tonight, but probably not. I don't know. We'll see. What I am working on right now is ironing out the bugs with this audio chain, and now recording. It's not really a chain, but the recording part of the process. It's a virtual part of the chain, while the audio chain, as I describe it, is completely electrical. I want to record that series of videos, as I was talking about. We got a little derailed there, didn't we? But this is really just a ramble, in the most boring ramble possible. Like just looking at a static fucking screen. It's not even me running around a goddamn map as the last video I recorded that was an audio test. But the significant thing here is that I do want to cover every weapon in TF2. I'm actually going to Google that right now because I have a browser up. He says, hang on. Oof, I fucked up. Oh, it is working. How many weapons are there in Team Fortress 2? Autocomplete's fucking creepy. 160, at least according to that Reddit thing, which dates from, when the fuck was this? 160, but when was this? It was a year ago. Well, they sure shit haven't had any weapons in the last year because TF2 is fucking abandonware. So, well, if he'll say there's 160 weapons, and that, I don't know if he's including reskins because I'm not going to cover every reskin, but we'll say for sake of argument there are 160 weapons in TF2. It really doesn't matter because I was saying there's more than 100. What that means is it's going to be a pretty long series of videos. And the way I'm going to do it is by class. And originally I was going to do it like in like the class selection screen. So like the class selection screen is Scout, Soldier, Pyro, Demo, Heavy, NG, Medic, Sniper, Spy. And well, that is the kind of like the canonical order of the mercs in TF2. It doesn't necessarily make a good story, particularly from the perspective. And this is the whole series of videos, obviously, from my perspective. The plan here is really to go from what I like the least to what I like the most. So I'm actually going to start with Skunt. I actually, somewhere I have I've written up an entire, sort of like a master script. And then they're not entirely fleshed out, but I have a script for all 9 classes. Each is a separate document. And the plan is that I'm going to start with the classes I like the least and end with the class I like the most. So it begins with, I guess, Scout, and then ends with Heavy. And I have the most shit for Heavy, so that will be the longest videos. I counted a while. I have 20 miniguns. Now, I don't need to cover every 20 minigun because that's like Strange Hulong Heater, Collector's Hulong Heater, Genuine Hulong Heater, Strange Hulong Heater with a strange filter on it for a map I never play, and MVM parts. And then like, fuck you stock miniguns. I have a Festivized, an Australium, a Unusual Strange Energy Orb, Unusual Hot, Unusual Cool, Unusual Isotope. None of those are strange. Isotope Strange with a strange filter on it for MVM. Another one with a strange filter on it for MVM with a Halloween spell in it. By the way, just about all the ones except for the unusual ones have Halloween spell, exorcism, and fucking other ones I'm forgetting about. I have a Collector's Natasha. I have a Strange Natasha. I have a Vintage Natasha as my alt account. An Australian Tomislav, a Brass Beast. fucking, it ends up being 20. And that 20 actually includes one that is stashed in my alt-wing output. The point is, it's going to take 4 fucking ever to cover all of my heavy weapons. But that's fine. It'll be like a celebration of the poor, long-suffering fat guy that Valve have nerfed into the ground in a game that they have left to be abandoned. And you will meet few people as long-suffering in TF2 as the people who play heavy. But I had another idea that came up actually in a voice call when I was hanging out with some friends. We were yapping, and I went as a couple friends' backpack pages, and I sorted by equipped. Like, for instance, we will go, I don't know, this guy right here. We'll use him as a test. This is MK. He is an East Indian fella. Very high profile, very high profit trader. His backpack lists at 89 grand, and it's worth a fuck of a lot more than that because a lot of that shit's like outdated prices. He actually approached me once, and he wanted to enter into a really poor trade for me. He would have been fucking me out of hundreds of keys then and probably like 1,000 keys now. I ignored him and eventually blocked him because you can see, he's now marked for trading with a scammer and trying to hide the fact. He is very typical of the top 100 backpacks, which is they're mostly a bunch of fucking sociopaths. The only difference is that he's sufficiently outside of the cool kids club that he engaged in some nefarious behavior that got him in trouble. And significantly, a lot of the people in the fucking top 100 backpacks, particularly the higher up you go, these guys, a bunch of these people engage in, and I'm not targeting any specific person here, I'm just spinning my mouse around. A lot of these people here have done incredibly shitty things. I love that it's highlighting Soda Dungeon too, but never mind that. And I'm not going to say which ones, or maybe I will, but right now I'm not. Many of these people, and by the way, if you keep scrolling somewhere in the low 90, well, there we go, 94, this guy. I'm in the top 100 backpacks now. Cool story, bro. Who gives a shit? Anyway, most of these people have done something fairly shitty with regard, I'm not talking their personal lives, but they probably have done that too, with regard to their trading, but they rub elbows with the right people in backpack. Don't fucking kid yourself. Backpack.tf is a cabal. It's a cool kids club. It's the table at the lunchroom where you're not allowed to sit. And they work together to ensure that they all get rich off this game. Not entirely, let me tell you. There's all sorts of infighting, backstabbing, and other shit. But they, generally speaking, work together. There's another band account. I don't remember this guy's deal. It's actually a private profile with a back band. But who gives a shit about any of that? We were going to talk about MK. And what the plan is like, so I go in MK's backpack. We wait for it to load. Hopefully it doesn't do using fallback. It didn't. Because if it did using fallback, this whole thing would be a moot point. So what we're going to do is equipped, yes. And that takes his $89,000 backpack and cuts it down to $59,000, which is hilarious. But we're now going to talk about MK. This guy is fabulously fucking wealthy. He has all-class strange miscs with Halloween effects out the wazoo. Like, this is a portal effect. This has no equip region. You could literally equip 3 antlers and people do it. This is a hat equip region, but it's another portal effect. Then he's got an all-class Spellbound, an all-class Bonzo. These are both miscs. You can't stack them. You can't wear multiple polar pullovers, but you can wear a polar pullover, a hat, and then another misc. He's got an all-class Bonzo. This is a purple energy, which is comparatively low tier, but it's still an all-class misc. An all-class Secret, an all-class Arcana. You can't stack these either. The Antlers is the only one that you can stack with itself. But if I'm not mistaken, you can wear Antlers, a polar pullover, and a virtual viewfinder. And TF2 only has 3 equip slots. So this dude can wear 3 Halloween effect, old school Halloween effect unusuals at the same time without actually wearing a hat on all classes. And that's obviously what he does. Because, by the way, this is also a misc. This is a non-hat equip region hat, if you will, for NG. This is... it's not a true misc. It's the same as these in as much as it's not hat equip region, but you can wear it in a hat and it's all class and it's fucking Nebula. That is a high tier effect. Not a very good hat if you ask me, but it's all class. And that is a glitchable whole head equip region misc, sneer quotes, for demo. But it's redundant. He already has that. He just has this to extract profit from it. So the guy has unusuals, just the unusuals. You could buy a luxury car for those, and that's with the current with their outdated prices, not whatever they are currently. A lot of these are probably one of one, and they're all tough sales. But this is literally a luxury car in pixels right here. You could get a big stonking Tesla for the cost of those. But the funny story is, as soon as you get outside of the expensive unusuals, which he hoards and tries to extract traffic, you can tell this guy barely gives a fuck about TF2. He does have a vintage Uber saw, and he does have a vintage Dead Ringer, and that's what people get when they don't want to bother with strangers. His shotgun, which has almost 1,000 kills in it and is professional, he did bother to put a pro kit on it. It's civilian grade, and these things used to be really looked down upon, but they become oddly expensive because civilian weapons haven't dropped since gunmetal, and that was 5.5 years ago. Tough Break, since Tough Break ended. This just shows that he bothered to get himself a nice shotgun. Then he has a festive, not festivized Crusader's crossbow. And there's a world of difference here because this thing shoots candy canes and nothing else in the game does. I have one. It's actually the first Strange I ever bought in TF2, but we'll talk off the SEM, but we'll talk more about that at a much later date. And he put allied healing done on it. He put airborne enemies killed on it. He may have actually got it that way. I'd have to look at the history, and I don't care. And it's got a nice pro kit. It's got fire horns and team shine. Some people would make a case that's the single highest tier pro kit you can put on a weapon, but that's also a matter of opinion. Certainly fire horns is very high tier. Then he's got himself a flamethrower. It was gifted by somebody. He's barely, I should also mention that he did manage 300 kills in it, but that's not that many. That means he's used it. And it's got 50,000 allied healing done. That's nothing. It means he's used it, but barely. And here he has a pro degreaser. Nice kit. Violet and Singularity. It's one of the first pro kits I ever saw. I remember in my earliest days of TF2, which was not long after pro kits were a thing with the Two Cities update in the fall of 2013, almost 8 years ago. I was being spawn camped by a heavy who had a Kritzkrieg medic up his ass, and they were just destroying us. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and no one else on my team did, and we were just getting annihilated. And they were using the Kritzkrieg. And the pro kit on that heavy's minigun was Singularity and Violet. And I knew that because the reason I remember that is it's like you sort of remember the first time you see like a shiny object in a game. It's stuck with me. I actually, he was on a greater than 10 kill streak. And so I saw that eye effect as they were just destroying us. Of course, there's a lot of ways to counter a heavy with a Kritzkrieg medic up his ass, but 2013 Valve puppies, it's a different matter. And anyway, he's got Cloak Spies killed in it, which is stupid, but whatever, it's a flamethrower. Teammates extinguished, he's got a whopping 3. And a shit ton of projectiles reflected. That tells me he either farmed that, which you can do. There are ways you can do it. I can remember how you do it. I think like sticky bombs. I know sticky bombs count, in fact. So you could get a demo to put down like a set of 8, or actually you could do like 14 with the fucking Scottish Resistance. And then you just could literally air blast them in a corner. And I don't think the demo even needs to put down new stickies. I think there's like a cool, I mean, it's been a long time since I've tested this shit, like since early 2014. But what I recall is there's a cooldown and then you can re-air blast them. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he didn't do anything that fucking stupid and cheeky. Maybe the guy just played some dodgeball or some pyro tennis, I don't know. But the fact that he only has 200 kills and has that many projectiles reflected, either he's really good at reflecting projectiles but not hitting anyone. Because if you reflect a rocket, even if it's a regular rocket, it turns into a mini crit. If you can aim those, you get a kill, and that counts on the Strange Flamethrower. It's been that way for years. Not since Strange Flamethrowers were a thing, but it's been that way since, like, I don't know, this guy was playing the fucking game. In any case, so he's played some pyro. And then he's got a Strange Lock and Load. It is pro. It has a shit ton of kills in it, and it's dual spelled. We'll assume he didn't farm it. Then he has got a pistol. By the way, that's the first like spelled weapon we found was his. I don't think the only way this could be spelled if it was post-life. This is not spelled. This is not spelled, and that's a damn shame. This is dual spelled, but I will say this. Even as spelled weapons have gone through the fucking roof in price, dual spelled ones even more so. The lock and load has really lingered behind because the lock is kind of a shitty weapon after Valve nerfed the shit out of it. And then he's got a pro pistol, nice kit, fire horns, team shine. He's gotten some kills in it. It's got a really cringy name on it. I'm guessing he used that on Skunt, but it's hard to say because this could be NG right here. And then he's got a strange whip, which has gotten rather expensive, even though you can make one for about $1 now with a civilian war paint and a stat clock. I said civilian stat clocks they don't drop much anymore. They still do drop from people who complete Jungle Inferno contracts, and people are still doing that. So you can get some civilian stat clock. You can get Mark II war paints. I haven't looked into it. I think the last civilian grade weapon that I strangified was so many years ago, I don't remember. But that's an OG one. That is one that comes out of a salvage crate. They used to be about 2 keys, and now you can see they're considerably more of that, especially with a nice pro kit on it. And he's barely used it. He only has 341 teammates. Mine has like 130,000 teammates on it. And that's it. Literally everything else he has is fucking unique. He's got his 2 vintages. He's got a fucking renamed unique bottle with an expensive pro kit. That's stupidity. Now, I understand you get so few kills with the Grooves, especially these days, and he did go with a festive. I understand why he did that. He's got a pro unique knife, and I don't like these because they're craftable. When I do unique weapons that I'm keeping because I don't want to strange, I either do one of 2 things. I either make them untradeable by making an untradeable pro kit, or which you do by starting with a spec weapon that's untradeable, and you just have to get one of those. Which is to say they get dumped in your inventory. Every Christmas you get a gift from Valve, and includes unique weapons that are untradeable. But or I do uncraftable, because then you can never accidentally craft down your pro weapon. He's got a Your Eternal Reward that's pro. So he runs Your and Deadringer, which is fucking weird. And Enforcer. This guy doesn't play the game. He just happens to have it. Sandwich, because fat guy. Which is funny, because this motherfucker, backpack number 7, with fucking banned from this site for trading with scammers and trying to hide the fact. I just want to take a moment here and focus on, my dude does not have a fucking minigun. He doesn't even have like a shitty fucking war paint reskin. He has nothing, yet he's got fucking pro grooves so he can sit in a trade server with an eye effect. This shit is fucking hilarious. He didn't have a goddamn minigun. I take it back. He has a unique Tomislav equipped, which he does not have a kit on or anything. He's got a fucking unique Tomislav. Congratulations, buddy. You're fucking flexing as fat man. And then he's got a unique vaccinator. I should have noticed that. But point being is like, he's got a fucking, it doesn't say the origin, but yeah, time drop. He literally got that as a drop. He's got a gunslinger, not even an achievement one. An original, I understand, well, it's silly to say, a guy as rich as him, even in this very moment, could afford a strange original, and they're like over 100 keys because they've shot way the fuck up. But he's got a unique one, which is also a time drop. He's got a pro babyface blaster. I know why he has these. It's so he can sit idle on a trade server with a professional eye effect going. With heavy, he has that out. With spy, he has this out. With medic, he just fucking doesn't, because he doesn't have a pro weapon for medic. He didn't want to pay for one. Which is funny, because you can get a pro bone saw for dirt cheap. With NG, I don't know. I guess he does his pistol. He has his pistol or his shotty out. With Pyro, he actually played the class, so he's got his flamethrower. With Soldier, he's got his whip out, which is not what it sounds like. He has his disciplinary action out. He's got his lock and load out. If he's playing demo, he also has a bottle. I think he actually played demo, and that's why he has a pro bottle as well. With Pyro, he also has a pro unique. He really likes firearms and Team Shine. Neon Annihilator. He has an all-class, well, he has a 7-class. Spy and NG can't equip it. Pro unique crafted Freedom Staff. Gunboats, because Soldier needs that to move around, and a Tide Turner. It's honestly, it's really funny. If you discount the, as I said, buy yourself a Tesla unusuals there, this guy has a really uninteresting inventory. I mean, he's played the class. I looked at his profile once. He's got a couple thousand hours. I don't remember if it's 2,000 or if it's 3,000, but he's got hours in the game, and he has absolutely played it. But apart from his ludicrously expensive fucking toys, he basically has a bunch of pro weapons that he can use when sitting on a trade server trying to, which he can't do anymore, but actually, strictly speaking, there's 2 trade servers that are populated for selling unusuals. That's the way it's been for fucking years. And I know he's not banned on one of them, because they don't ban for backpack bans. They only ban for Steam Rep bans, and he is not banned on Steam Rep. And I'm not sure about the other. I have maybe seen him in game. I don't know. And if I have, I don't care. But the point is if he wanted to, he could sit in a trade server with his, triple unusual Halloween effect miscs. Not even a hat. He only has like two things that qualify as a hat. These two are fucking hats. These three are hats. I take it back. Knife Storm, Dark Doorway, and Demon Flame. And this Bonzo's a hat as well. So he has a bunch of, he's got like a handful of hats and then just a plethora of miscs, which are ludicrously expensive. He can sit with any of those on a trade server with his, unusual weapon and sit there and be AFK and occasionally offer or get people to say, hey, I'm taking offers on this. I want 10,000 fucking keys. He can't list things in backpack anymore though because he's banned. He was actually trying to sell shit on some super sketchy third-party site that was an alternative to marketplace.tf after Marketplace went cool kids only. That is another subject for another day, but the primary people cashed out at TF2 was by marketplace.tf, but late last year they went so only approved sellers could list items on there, and that is the definition of the cool kids club, but we'll leave it at that for now. And in this case, since MK can't do that, he was selling stuff on some sketchball third site that's hosted in Russia, and I would have fucking nothing to do with. I know people who had done business on it, but count me out. As the words of the late, great Samuel Goldwyn, gentlemen, include me out. But he's sitting on all this stuff, trying to turn it into cash, and he can't really because he's banned on Backpack, and he's not ever going to get on Marketplace, but were he to sit in a trade server, he could have one or two IFX with his ludicrous quantity of miscs, and that is about all he would have going for him because the motherfucker doesn't even play the game, and his backpack really tells that story. By the way, I want to learn how to stop now because I normally would have stopped right there, but this is the first recording I've done with OBS since I started, and I actually don't know where the fucking record button is, and to make things worse, it is on it's on a monitor that I can't entirely see because my microphone is on a boom, which is good. But I don't actually know where the goddamn stop button is. Like there's the record button, but that's just the record light. So I turned it on, but keep in mind, this is the first time I've ever used this. So I don't actually know where the fucking like off button is. There's a famous story, which is actually not apocryphal, of Richard D. James, who is one of the greatest producers of electronic music ever, and also a complete asshat. He primarily recorded the name Aphex Twin. He first logged onto the internet in the early 1990s, and this is a guy who is a brilliant electronic musician. He kind of invented his own genre practically. And he's done a lot of really stupid shit too, but RDJ was even in the early night. Oh, fuck off. Hang on. Discard. It's funny. Boy, I hope that's saved. I guess we'll know in a second, won't we?